What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or if this is your first time, welcome to Dylan Talks Tone. We're going to talk about probably one of the biggest arguments, discussions, debates on the internets for literally 75 years. If you are a new guitar player, should you start on an acoustic guitar or should you start on an electric guitar? There are pros and cons to both. There are myths related to both. There are traditions related to both. We're going to get to the bottom of it today, and we're going to give you some things that I think you'll be able to make a good decision. And then at the end of the video, I'll actually give you some practical recommendations, like here's some guitars you could try to get you on your way. When I was about 6 years old, my dad wanted me to play guitar. We had a guitar store, and he handed me a 3/4 scale sort of Stella acoustic guitar. And I played it for a while. And I learned my basic chords on it and stuff. And I started to realize that my fingers were hurting. I mean, it was driving me insane. I hated it. I was like a wimp about my fingers. And so not long after he asked me to start playing guitar, I basically gave up. The reason is because acoustic guitars, just by their construction and how they work, have a much stiffer, might not be the right feel, but the playing effort, depending on the guitar, can be much higher. The playing effort can be much higher than on an electric guitar. It's because the strings are usually thicker, right? They're from a different material. The tension to make everything work the way it's supposed to work, because electric guitars and acoustic guitars aren't the same in how they make sound. The acoustic guitar is a percussive instrument, so you really have to move the strings more forcefully to make sound. That's basically the long and the short of it. When we take an electric guitar, every little motion of this string disrupts the magnetic field, and then we make sound on our amp. And so that is why it's a completely different architecture. So we have usually some sort of steel or nickel based string, and where, let's say, this little skinny string is 10 thousandths of an inch, it's 12 or 13 thousandths of an inch over here on an acoustic guitar. The tension is much higher. And so, and because we have to play the electric guitar a lot less forcefully, then that means we can kind of put everything closer together. That means that we can make the strings closer, which means we don't have to press as hard to play. So playing effort is much different from an electric guitar to an acoustic guitar. Electric guitar, to press the strings, is easier. Another big practical difference is what you need to make sound. On an acoustic guitar, obviously we're just moving air, right? So all we really need is the instrument itself. We put our fingers on it and we play, and that's that, right? On an electric guitar, because of the way it makes sound, we need electricity, which means we need a couple other things. So we can make sound with the strings, right? But that's not really the point. The point is to amplify that sound. So you have to have some sort of amplifier, and a cable to go from the guitar to the amplifier. So you would need to plug this into a cable that plugs into this. Sometimes you can have a big amp like this. Sometimes you can have a smaller, quieter amplifier like this with a headphone jack and sort of things like that. And then there's also these kind of little deals that just plug into the headphone jack of the guitar, and then you just use headphones. So another consideration could be noise, loudness. A lot of folks would say, well, then I'm going to play an acoustic guitar because it's less distracting. But if you play an acoustic guitar in your living room while somebody else is watching a movie, versus playing an electric guitar in your living room while somebody else is watching a movie with headphones, much quieter, right? So depending on how you get the sound to your ears with an electric guitar, you have a bunch of options. So you can go either very loud, like this, or very quiet with headphones, like this or like this. Very, very adjustable. Now the trick, though, is you do have to buy those extra pieces of equipment to make it go, where with the acoustic guitar over here, you don't have to do that. Let's dispel a couple of myths. Some folks would say, some old school folks would say that it's probably better if you start on an acoustic guitar because it's more basic, it's simple, and it gives you finger strength and it teaches you the fundamentals better, like what you need to know with less distraction. Here's the problem. When I was forced to play an acoustic guitar, it was difficult for me to learn because I didn't want to practice, because it was a higher effort to play. Therefore, I practiced less, and I quit very soon after starting. Until a few years later, when my dad gave me an electric guitar to try, and then I had it, and I started to realize, wait a minute, this is much easier to play, the effort is much lower, and now I want to play. Now I actually want to practice. Plus, it just felt more rock and roll. So if you really want to learn guitar, then play what really excites you, right? And we'll get into that in just a minute. Some folks would say that playing the electric guitar is cheating because it's not teaching you those other things, but it really comes down to player comfort. If you're going to have an instrument in your hands that keeps you from playing because it hurts, you're not going to want to do it as much, and that's not going to be as fun, and therefore this thing, whatever it is just going to hang on the wall or in a case underneath a bed or in a closet, and you're never going to give it a second thought. But if you have a guitar that you're excited about, that you enjoy, that doesn't hurt your fingers as much, and there's some things to explore there, then I think you will be much more likely to play. The other thing is going to be cost and practicality. So let's first talk about electric guitars, because people think that there's a whole lot more money and a whole lot more involved that you need, and that can be true, but you can keep it pretty simple. The entry-level version of this guitar is, I was looking this morning on Sweetwater and it was on sale for like $500, right? So, which sounds like a lot of money, but remember that that is the beginning of a hobby that you're going to have for the rest of your life. And at that price point, at like the $500 price point for an electric guitar, you're going to keep it forever. There's no need to ever get rid of it. It's a guitar that you probably would never outgrow. Now, can you get a cheaper electric guitar than $500? Yes. You can go on Amazon, you can go on various websites that are marketplaces around the world, and you can buy very inexpensive guitars. But consistency of quality is important, because remember we talked about if it's easy to do, and if it's easy to play, and if it's easy to set up and adjust, and it has all the things and you don't have to fiddle around a bunch, you're going to want to play more. If you get a guitar that you automatically have to do work to get it to play nicely outside of the box, and at the beginning you're not going to know what that means, it could take you down a completely wrong road. So order from a reputable brand that you recognize, order from a good retailer that you recognize, and then I think those things would be good. Now, I'll suggest a couple in the comments section of this video, or in the description. I would say the Epiphone version of this guitar would be really, really fun. The Classic Vibe Telecaster or Stratocaster would be really, really fun. Those would be great guitars. Now, when it comes to an amplifier, you got to make the sound somehow, right? So they have very, very inexpensive little practice amps like this that are fantastic. I think these are under $200 or right around $200. I think these little plug-in amplifiers that plug in with some headphones start somewhere in the neighborhood of $80, and this one is about $150. This one just came out yesterday. And then, you can get up into $1,000 for a big amp like this, but there are amps this size in the more entry-level space in the couple $100 range. So I'll put a link to ones that I've personally used and I've personally tried and I really enjoy that are in that budget, more, lower budget range, in the links to this video, so that you can check them out and maybe put together a package of a guitar, a cable, and an amplifier that would get you going for a reasonable amount of money. Now, that sounds like a whole bunch. And that sounds like, well, wouldn't it just be easier if I got an acoustic guitar, because then all I would have to do is buy an acoustic guitar? I caution you before you go down that route. You can do the same thing with an acoustic guitar. You can go to a big marketplace on the internet, you can go to Amazon, you can go somewhere and spend a couple of $100s and get an acoustic guitar. We've done that. We've actually had companies send us those very, very, very inexpensive guitars that are only a couple $100, and we've tried them, and they didn't even work. One of them I got smelled so badly of formaldehyde because of the country that it came from. We couldn't even keep it in the house. We had to leave it in the garage. I think it was a Glary was the brand. That we've had many, many inexpensive instruments around here. So what I will say is do the same thing. Think about a reputable brand that you know. Yamaha, Martin, Breedlove, Taylor, what else? Epiphone, which is Gibson. And think about their entry-level guitars. Breedlove makes an excellent guitar. I have one of their very high-end guitars, and their very entry-level guitars, I think they're called the Inspire series, in fact, something like that. They're somewhere around $400. They're actually on sale right now at Sweetwater. I was just looking at them this morning. Martin actually has, this is a Martin, like this is the standard. This is a D28. This is like the jam when it comes to acoustic guitars. And they have like their entry-level Martins in that $500 to $600 range right now. Extremely quality instruments that I would definitely recommend, and skip that whole sort of temptation to go down the Amazon big marketplace, Temu, like that kind of stuff, because you're going to just run into more problems if you do that. Overall, you are going to spend less, but is that really the point? The point is this. I'm going to give you 3 criteria that you should think about before making this decision. Very, very simple. Do you like acoustic music? Number 1. Are you a singer-songwriter person who really enjoys acoustic music and unplugged music, and it really inspires you, and you want to sit on your back porch and play an acoustic guitar and write some songs and really go down that road and really understand it? If that's what inspires you, get an acoustic guitar. If you're more like me and you started off your life being inspired by various rock guitar players, blues guitar players, metal guitar players, country guitar players, then if an electric guitar inspires you, get one of those. And what I would say is choose the guitar that most inspires you, that is a good quality instrument, but that inspires you. Like if you're an Angus Young fan, get an Epiphone SG for $500. If you are a Slash fan, get the Epiphone version of this guitar. I think those are on sale for $500 right now. If you are, an Eddie Van Halen fan, like whatever it is, get the guitar that most inspires you and looks like the guitar that inspires you, because you will want to play it more. That's number 2. So electric, if you want to play electric, if acoustic, if you want to play acoustic. Honestly, if the music inspires you and the desire inspires you. Now, if all you really care about is, you know what, it doesn't really matter to me, I just want to learn the fundamentals of this, just get the guitar you want. Honestly, the object behind this entire video is to tell you, get the guitar you want. The important thing is how much you play and that you stick with it. I believe the statistics are that over half of new guitar players quit in the first year. I believe that's because they choose the wrong instrument and they listen to people instead of making their own decisions about what they want. So, don't let somebody else tell you what you want. Figure out what you want and go buy that and enjoy it, and you will want to play it more. This is really about motivation more than it is about specification. The guitar that you want or need is the one that you're going to pick up and play the most. And if you can only have one, just think about what that might be before you buy it so that you play it the most. If you have input on this, get in the comments, and we can all talk about it in the comments. I will leave links to everything that I recommend for both sides of this in the description. If you use those links, it does help out the channel, but you don't have to. Just shop around and find the right thing for you. But hopefully that simplifies this. Don't let anybody tell you what to buy. Just enjoy the thing that you want to enjoy. Electric, acoustic, it really doesn't matter. They are different, but it really doesn't matter. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe, because we talk about guitar stuff all the time.